Well, the Falcons season coming to an end in less than a week, Todd, as, another tough loss, another game where BG was right there for 4 quarters, but could not find a way to win against Akron on last night.
Yeah, this has been really the story of this second half of the season. A lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, every game that they've lost, except probably the Central Michigan game, you could say they had a shot to win at some point during the game, and 3 of them, they had legit shots at the end of the game. So, yeah, ultimately frustrating. Hunter Nesrum goes the whole way and, didn't really kill them with any bad mistake till the end of the game. But, a lot of, what we were talking about on the air is I thought they really put too much on his plate on that final drive. They were already in field goal range. Just stick with Austin Dendy and throwing the ball if you have to. And I think you get a field goal try out of that. But ultimately they decided to put it in Nesrum's hands, and 2 incompletions and then a pick ended the game. So, yeah, I mean, a 5-game losing streak's not what we were envisioning back when they beat Toledo.
Yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl's like 5-6 weeks away. We had the turnover bowl at Doyd Perry, and that last turnover, obviously the one that hurt them the most. And you look back at how Eddie George has coached. We have seen him coach excellently throughout this season, make the right decisions. Kicking that field goal with a little over 2 minutes to go worked out perfectly because they got the 3 and out, they got the ball back, they were in position. The execution just wasn't there once again.
Yeah, I had no problem with kicking the field goal there. First of all, they had taken a loss, and it was 4th and pretty long. You're not going to convert that. And Jackson Cleather is pretty automatic from there. He had all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Yeah, you got to take the 3 there. And you're exactly right. It worked out. If they hadn't turned it over, they probably would have got another kick try and likely go to overtime. So that strategy call was obviously the correct one. Even if they hadn't gotten the ball back, it was still the right call.
How much did the weather play a factor in Tuesday's game? Because we had that heavy to light mist throughout the game. We saw the ball on the turf a lot of times.
Yeah, I think the wind was a little trickier than it looked. Our sideline guy, Kevin Peel, I would go down to him a couple of times because those kicks were not what I was expecting a couple of times. And he said the wind was a little bit unpredictable. It's Bowling Green, right? Yeah, I think there was a little bit more slipping than I had anticipated we would see. And I don't know if that was because of the mist or just because of some bad footwork. It could have been a little of both.
Over the next week, there's 6 teams trying to get to Detroit in the MAC championship game. Bowling Green and UMass are not part of that group. They're trying to avoid being in last place. UMass yet to win a game this season. BG, that 5-game losing streak, they're just 1 win in the MAC so far this year, but an excellent chance to get that 2nd win at UMass.
Yeah, this is really a pride check. I mean, you got to believe UMass doesn't want to go over. They're going to be at home, and you got to think they're going to bring everything they have. And for Bowling Green, they've got to find some motivation. Do you want to be the team that is UMass's only win? I don't think you do. So, quote unquote, nothing to play for, nothing to be gained. But I think there's a lot to be lost with a finale loss to UMass. So, I thought that was one thing the other night against Akron. I thought both teams played hard. They either one, both could have justified sort of laying down, with quote unquote nothing to play for. But I thought they both played hard. There was some hard hitting going on. There was obviously some jawing and extracurriculars. So I think if Bowling Green can bring that attitude to UMass, they're the better team this week, which is the first time in a while we could say that. But they need to get a win.
Interesting. It's going to be a 4:30 game Tuesday before Thanksgiving. A lot of different reasons behind that. Basically comes down to television and gets Bowling Green and UMass on traditional ESPNU. It's not going to be a stream game. That also gives Bowling Green that much of an extra couple hours to get going for the next phase, which is recruiting, solidifying this class of what will be 2026 and turning the page to 2026.
Yeah, coaches already openly talked about recruiting like 3 weeks ago. So I don't think it's any secret they got to get out there and beat the bushes, as they say. All your offensive linemen are graduating. They're out of eligibility, the entire starting 5. That's obviously a huge void. And at quarterback, I don't know that you can count on any of these guys that have played to be back next year and be effective. And that's the number one thing in everybody's mind, I think. Where are you going to get offensive linemen? How many can you get? And you got to find a starting quarterback.
That is the objection for the Bowling Green Falcons as they enter the offseason. But first, they will wrap up the regular season with that trip to UMass. I want to thank Todd Walker from the Bowling Green Radio Network for joining us. Todd, thank you for your help all season long.
No problem, Mark.